Tatiana got attacked, I was not fooled for 1 second. I was like, this is to avoid suspicion. For sure. Stupid Grace. There are so many scenes where we're almost feeling sorry for Grace, but then you remember she's a lying, manipulative, mean, that's taking advantage of people with her siren powers, luring them into these sexual situations without consent. Ugh, that scene with Matthew just irks the shit out of me. Throughout most of this book, Tatiana and Grace are in the old Lightwood house. That's of course run down and disgusting the way they like it. And Cordelia and Lucy go there and they look up at the slogan engraved into the Lightwood's rotting gates. Ultima Forsad. The end is closer than you think. The Lightwoods, they're a cheery, upbeat, optimistic bunch. Who wouldn't want to be friends with them? Who wouldn't want to live in that house? Is that slogan a side effect of the dark magic as well? Did it used to say something like, hi, welcome to our humble abode? They talk a lot about Benedict Lightwood's legacy in this book. Everyone rags on him all the time because he was obsessed with demons and he was obsessed with crossbreeding the demons. I don't know if he only meant like with himself. Are there random Lightwood demon crossbreed children out there? Are there other Tessa children? Because that's what it sounds like, doesn't it? Was he sleeping around with any demons that got pregnant, and where are those offspring? And I couldn't help but think of Valentine Morgenstern, who was also obsessed with demons and that crossbreeding. And did he have access to Benedict Lightwood's notes and papers? Did those papers get passed down? Is Valentine Morgenstern somehow descendant of Benedict? You know, we haven't seen the Morgensterns come up anywhere still. Where are they? Where did they come from? Crackpot theory. Did the Morgenstern line start from a rando Shadowhunter warlock that came out of the crossbreeding that Benedict did with other random demons? James had the ability to go to the Shadowland and become a shadow in real life, but that realm doesn't exist anymore. So will he harness the ability to go to other realms? Will his power evolve since that's not there for him anymore? Feels like his ability is to walk through other realms. You also see him teleport in this book. He's in the London Institute. They shock him into the Shadow Realm. He sees Cortana, or he sees Cordelia, his light in the darkness, walks toward him, and he's in the greenhouse at the old Lightwood Manor. So he has the ability to teleport, and he doesn't know how to do it yet. Is that teleporting the same thing that we see Jesse Blackthorn doing? I love the chapter of this story when we go back to when James had Shadowhunter fever. Cordelia sat next to the bed and read with him, and then he was taken into the shadow world and she brought him back. That's when their little love story bloomed, and it's beautiful and adorable, and it's been a very long time, just as long as the Grace thing. The Grace thing is fake. James is like a hopeless romantic. He really loves his dad. He really admires everything that his dad has ever told him, and he's told him, of course, that Herondales only fall in love once, and when they do, it's forever, and it hurts, and it's worth the pain. But the pain that he is feeling is not a good pain. Like, he's never feeling great around Grace. The thought of her burned inside his stomach as if he had swallowed a matchstick. That doesn't sound romantic. Let's talk about Matthew Fairchild, since I was ragging on his inability to communicate anything. He's convinced he's a murderer because he accidentally caused the death of his unborn sister, and yes, that was really, really bad. But he was a stupid kid, and I wish he at least told James. Tell somebody. Somebody's gonna find out. Is it gonna be Cordelia? We're setting up for another love triangle where everyone's in love. Like father, like son, and son's friend. I don't know why Matthew thinks that Cordelia is available. James is clearly in love with her, and he sees that, and that's why he's all upset when he opens the door on them making out, and I feel bad for him. But also, he needs to work on himself before he can be on any relationship. He has too much going on. He's an alcoholic. That's the first thing you have to take care of before you can move forward. This is my new Bible. I just keep going back to it every second of my life. Is Matthew Fairchild's name on this? Do you think Clary is a direct descendant of Matthew Fairchild? Oh, something I was also thinking about. Ooh, does Alistair produce kids? Because if Alistair doesn't have kids, then how does the Carstairs line continue? Hold on. Yeah, there's a line from Alistair Carstairs to John Carstairs. Where did John Carstairs come from? It says record missing or lost. And John Carstairs marries somebody named Cordelia. Precious Christopher Lightwood, who is the inventor, who's very much like Henry. He's the kid of Cecily and Gabriel. Somehow, apparently, he's gonna marry Grace Cartwright, who is evil bitch Grace Blackthorn in this book. Maybe she's under a spell and is like Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Hyde. Honestly, I have a note written down asking, is Grace Blackthorn even real? Or is she just a demon disguised as a shadow hunter to entrap James Herondale. I feel like Tatiana created her out of nothing, like a god of darkness. She could have worked with Belil to do that. Belil is a prince of hell. He has unknown, unfathomable abilities, and even though Cordelia stabbed him with Cortana at the end, he's still there. We don't know enough about Princes of Hell. They told Will that he can't come back for at least a century, but he's already back, so they're wrong. How did Charlotte and Henry produce a butt face like Charles Fairchild? Were they just not around enough for him? Because Matthew's so sweet and kind-hearted, and yes, now he's a drunk, but he's a good person. What happened with Charles? He's engaged to Adrian. Adrian is in love with Anna. There's a lot of love lines happening. She chooses to be with Charles because she wants to have children, and then she realizes that Charles is a buttface when she is terminally ill, and he doesn't even come to see her, and he breaks off their engagement when she's unconscious and decides to marry Grace Blackthorne. Meanwhile, Alistair and Charles are together and in love, apparently, but Charles, it sounds like he doesn't know how to love somebody. He loves himself more than he loves anything else. And poor Alistair, it was such a treat getting to know Alistair better in this book and seeing him try to make up for the poor decisions he made while at Shadowhunter Academy. And he obviously did not realize how deep the wounds from the things that he spewed carelessly to these kids are. Everything that Matthew is now hinged on the rumor that Alistair spread that he was the bastard child of Gideon Lightwood and his mom, Charlotte, that they had an affair. That made him question everything about Charlotte, made him desperate enough to go to the Shadowhunter market and purchase a random tell the truth potion from a fairy. He gave the potion to his mother. That's what caused the miscarriage. I forgot that Alistair was the one who spread that. The whole time Matthew keeps alluding to something terrible that Alistair said in school, and I just kept being like, what was it? I don't really know how to feel about Alistair. I feel sorry for him, obviously, because his guarded, mean-spirited nature is born of loneliness, but he did a lot of damage, and he has to apologize specifically for each damage. I feel he has to do an apology tour. Maybe Thomas's reaction at the very end of this book will be a wake-up call for him, and hopefully he will redeem himself. I know he will. I think we're all shipping him super hard with Thomas. I love the way we see Thomas and Alistair's new relationship unfold, because at first you think he's like about Alistair coming to town because he was bullied by him, but then slowly we realize he likes Alistair. And then we see this flashback. He just had his year abroad in Spain, which is so cool, and he went outside of Spain on holiday, and he ran to Alistair when he was having such a lonely time in France. This is what happens when you travel alone. Unexpected shit. You talk to unexpected people. I love how stubborn Cordelia is and determined. She doesn't give up on people. She's persistent and she gets through to them, and James needs somebody like that. She won't listen to him. She's gonna do what she thinks is right. And that's why I really thought she'd say something about that bracelet. Cordelia, she's so polite. She wants to help Grace. She wants to help James help Grace. Fucking Grace! Let's go back to Matthew. How much fun was it to learn that Magnus Bane is Matthew's hero, his idol, and then to have him fangirling when he sees him? Will's whole life was ruined when he opened a Pisces and a demon came out and killed his sister and told him if he ever loved somebody, they would die. And for some idiotic reason, our crew, the Merry Thieves, thinks it's a good idea to open the Pisces they stole. The whole time they were walking to the sanctuary to open, I was like, this is stupid. This is idiotic. This is the dumbest thing you've ever done. Why wouldn't they tell their parents? We can't tell our parents we're gonna break a promise to someone that we told a promise to, which was Ragnar Fell. You don't have to tell them exactly where you got this information. Just tell them a roundabout way what you're doing and why you're doing it. It's one thing if your parents are Mars and Robert Lightwood. It's another if your parents are Will and Tessa. Come on! They open up the Pisces. Officially the stupidest idea ever. Congratulations. You all could have died. A demon comes out and tells them that it'll do their bidding. And Matthew, he actually asks, really? You'll do your bidding? And then James kills him, thank God. James does not give in to peer pressure. Matthew does. So they open this Pisces and Magnus Bane shows up. I'm so glad Magnus is in this book. For a second, I thought maybe he wouldn't be in Chain of Gold because in the Midnight Air, he's like, I am not coming back to London anytime soon. I love New York. But by the end of Chain of Gold, he's like, wow, there's a lot of drama going on and I want to be present to see how it all pans out. Maybe I should send for my cat. So Magnus walks in. He's like, what is going on here? Everyone turns around. Cordelia's like waving smoke out of her face to see who it is. And Matthew's like, Magnus Bane?
I want to know what you're doing, but I'm afraid to find out. It's a bit complicated. Hi, Magnus. I see you've decided to follow in the long Herondale tradition of poor decision making. And Lucy, me too. I have too. So don't forget about me. I love how that's like a continual reoccurring thing. The demon will be like, you're that son of a prince of hell. And Lucy's like, I also am the grandson of a prince of hell. Excuse me. And Thomas is like, it's weird that you're here because everyone's at a meeting. And Magnus is like, oh, I forgot to turn my watch backward and have arrived 6 hours early. What a great scene this whole scene was. And Matthew, upon hearing that he's got 6 hours, is like, Magnus, we could have tea. I can't wait to see the evolution of this budding Magnus Bane relationship. Because Magnus, as he says at the end, has a soft spot for wounded souls. And he wants to help Matthew. I can't wait to watch it unfurl. I hope this crush on Cordelia that Matthew thinks he has doesn't go too far. Hopefully Magnus steps up and is the big brother that Matthew always wanted and helps him work through all this. He tries to let him know at the end of the book. He's like, Matthew, it does no good to pine after something you can't have. And Matthew's like, no, it's a sham marriage. And it's like, it's not. It's not a sham marriage. Everyone's trying to convince themselves it is, but it's not. Cordelia, when you guys were making out in the whispering room, you both could have stopped, and nobody did. And they just kept going at it until Matthew came, and James was saying all these cheesy things like, Daisy, my Daisy. And I don't know what it is about the nickname Daisy that I hate, but it just doesn't suit Cordelia at all. It just doesn't feel badass enough, because she is a badass. She'll do anything. She'll go anywhere. She has all the best Gryffindor traits without the annoying ones that Clary has. Like, Clary makes stupid decisions and runs into things. Cordelia always is one step ahead of her decision. Like, she knows she's gonna execute it right. She knows what she's doing when she does it, and it's amazing to watch. When she did that cool dance to distract everyone, oh my god. The sexual tension. I love that scene so much. And James was watching, and she was like imagining him watching, but then she was like, oh, he wasn't watching and thinking that it was sexy like I thought he was. But he was. And it's just like, there's all this back and forth between the two of them that builds, and they have so many great moments. I love when Will walks her home. James. James is a lot like Will. I love that. You can see Will in James, but James is also his own person. And I just love how well Cassie has threaded these families. You can see other characters in their descendants, but they're also their own people. Anna Lightwood reminds me so much of Izzy. Her confidence, and then the way she approaches people, her aura, her attitude, and her general badassery has made its way down all the way to Izzy, and that's so cool. I was talking about Cordelia. I love her love for her family and her determination to save them, even though she doesn't know exactly what she's saving her father from. I loved the whole arc with Alistair there, sharing with her what she didn't know, and her seeing everything she saw as a child through new eyes. It was a very relatable thing, and I loved Will talking to her about his father. His book was just so good. Back to Cordelia's nickname being Daisy. Daisy, my Daisy. I can't see those words coming out of his mouth and not sounding stupid. If I were Cordelia in those moments, I'd be like, stop. It just sounds like a baby talking. I like that he has this really sweet nickname for her. I love the story behind it. Lucy almost fell off a cliff, and then Cordelia saved her and fell in a bed of daisies or something. Daisy does not sound like the badass that just saved your sister from falling off a cliff. We could have called her Badass. Oh, Badass. My badass. I don't think any name would sound good in that context. Oh, Wildflower. My Wildflower. Like, just you know what's a much better nickname? Layla, from that story that she reads aloud. I love how they call her Layla. Her mom and her brother call her Layla. Oh my gosh, you know what part I love? When James walks her home and her mom gets so excited and she invites him in for tea. He's like, I didn't know your mom liked me so much. I should come over more often. I fear my mother might be equally enthused over any eligible bachelor who pretended an interest in tea. Virginia like pushes him out of the house. I really do like tea. In fact, I love it. I love tea. And then some driver passing by is like, good for you, mate. You know what's cool? Cordelia describes James's eye color as fire and gold, which is how we describe Cortana, her sword, her true love. Connections! I asked on Instagram if you guys think that I got through this last 150 pages without crying, but I did not cry because I was so mad about Grace that I couldn't even bring up any other emotion because I was furious with this bitch and her mom. I'm just so mad that she didn't take off the bracelet. I'm so mad that she came out to see James on the
balcony at his engagement party to Cordelia and didn't take off that bracelet. I thought that she has a shred of goodness in her. I thought that she felt bad because the fact that she took off the bracelet in the first place showed that she does have some sort of a conscience, right? Because he's drugged. She is like a drug. That's alluded to multiple times throughout the book by different adjectives and stuff that Cassie uses to describe his feelings for her. This little bracelet keeps it in him no matter what. She takes it off. He goes through withdrawal. Passes out. The next morning, everything's clearer. It's like a fog has lifted. He doesn't even care about Grace. He doesn't know why. He doesn't feel the lingering pain of lost love because you didn't love her in the first place, you idiot. Why hasn't he thought about that? Maybe there's something more going on here. This girl I'm in love with has lived in a haunted house her entire life. I don't understand why this has never been questioned before. Why hasn't he been like, do you want some help? Like, I could come over, I could get a vacuum and a broom and some Windex, and we can make this place look livable. It's too big for two people to keep clean. Okay, maybe the whole place is too big, but we could keep a little area of it clean. We could work on that together, but nobody does. If I was her brothers, I would be like, I'm coming over to help clean the family house, okay? We're gonna just all work together. Is it because they're too uppity, they're too posh to even consider cleaning something themselves? Because they all have servants and cooks and stuff. Grace's last name is Cartwright. I want to know who Grace's parents are that died. I hope that we get to learn a little bit more about her. Maybe she's under some dark magic to be like a servant of Tatiana. Maybe she has an Imperious spell on her. Maybe she's being possessed and that's why she's so horrible. I hope that's it. I hope she's being possessed and it's not even Grace. It's somebody else entirely. It's a demon that possessed her as a child because Tatiana already had so much dark magic in her house. There were so many demons roaming around her. Maybe one possessed her and has possessed her all this time. Do you think it could be one of those princes of hell is also inside of Grace? It's very crackpotty. But there is that greedy one. And there is that oil salesman. There's ones that her particular assets kind of line up with. Or Lucifer. She could be any of them. That's my new theory. Grace is possessed. Let's talk about Cortana. I had this random theory about Cortana being a fae object. And I know we've heard a million times Cortana was made by Waylon the Smith. Waylon the Smith. Waylon the Smith. What do we really know about Waylon the Smith? The mortal sword was not forged by Waylon the Smith. The mortal sword was given by Raziel, the angel Raziel, straight to Jonathan Shadowhunter. So who is Waylon the Smith even anyway? First, Shadowhunter's weapons maker before the Iron Sisters. But we really don't know anything about him. Like, he could have worked together with someone because Shadowhunters don't have magic. So he's not just a forger of weapons. He must be infusing them with some sort of magic somehow, and how is he doing that? So apparently Cortana has a feather from a wing of an angel in its hilt. Is that feather from Ithoriel? Ithoriel is the going angel donation box. How did they get that feather to put in the hilt? When it was in Elias's possession, the sword was in a scabbard covered in intricate designs of leaves and runes. We keep seeing this leaves thing. This on the cover apparently just stems from a line in the book when James is looking at Cordelia's hair and it spills down her back like a bunch of autumn leaves. I love learning about how James went through intense training with Jem to help him master his power to go back and forth between the different realms. I love just learning how big of a part Jem played in Will and Tessa's children's lives. He was there for that. And Will is in love with the Carstairs family. Will is so adorable when he finds out that James and Cordelia are engaged, and he's so excited that the Herondale and Carstairs family are going to be intertwined even further. It just really made my heart so full knowing that in the present day, Jem is so dedicated to finding and protecting the offspring of the Herondale family. It just is all comes so full circle. And he and Tessa are going to be able to now continue the Carstairs line. Is that not insane? And they've adopted the Lost Herondale. It's just so beautiful. It's so fucking beautiful. The first and only time I really cried during this book was the scene when Will's parents died. Jem immediately came over and he, Will, and Tessa were just huddled together in the drawing room crying. That moment was so touching. Gabriel has like one line in this book and Cecily's talking about how they're in a modern age. They have electricity now and motor cars. And Gabriel's like, motor cars are fad. They won't last. I love how Anna takes Cordelia under her wing and helps her just come into her own. It gives Cordelia the confidence to be herself more around all these new people. The fact that Anna wants to hang out with her. Anna Lightwood is really along the outskirts of this story right now. She's kind of the cool older sister that comes in to protect people or comes in to help people find their place when she's needed. She's the only one of the crew at the end that's really questioning what's going on with Cordelia and James and Grace. And I hope that she uncovers that Grace is alive lying, manipulative liar that's taking advantage of James. I haven't talked about the moment where Cordelia stands up for James at the end of this book. Tatiana Lightwood's plan was to frame James for the burning down of their manor. And he doesn't have an alibi because he actually did that, but he didn't do it to destroy any evidence. He just did it because Grace the Siren asked him to. And Cordelia stands up in front of everyone. James couldn't have burned down the manor because he was in my room last night. All night. Dun dun dun. The horror! She's ruined now. She voluntarily ruins herself to save James. It just goes to show how brave she is and how selfless she is. We never got to hear what actually happened to Eugenia, but apparently Eugenia was ruined. Robert and Thomas's younger sister. I don't know if you guys noticed, but the word of the night in Chain of Gold was alacrity. Did you look up what it meant? Matthew accepted a drink with alacrity. Alacrity means cheerful readiness. Cassie was just loving the word alacrity, and I gotta say, I like what it means. I do stuff with alacrity all the time. SATs, where are you at? My vocabulary has expanded. James and Cordelia are gonna get married in the next book. We're gonna get to see a marriage no matter how fake they think it is. They're gonna get married and fall in love, and then Matthew's gonna be really, really sad. I don't know, that's gonna be a big mess. I don't think it's gonna go that far though, because we already went that far with the infernal devices, and it's just not the same here. We didn't get much of Charlotte in this book. She comes in at the end to kind of save the day and arrest Tatiana, but Tatiana gets off with like, what, a slap on the wrist or something. Oh my god, I forgot. She gets sent to be an Iron Sister, and that's all part of Belil's evil plan to infiltrate the Shadowhunterdom, and he obviously wants her to make a weapon. Oh yeah, he says that as long as James is protected by Cordelia and Cortana, there's no way that he can get to him. Just like the Clockwork Angel around Tessa. It looks like Elias Carstairs is gonna come back into the picture. How is that gonna mix everything up? What does he think of James Herondale? Is he going to get help? I wonder if Matthew is going to try to get help as well and be inspired maybe by Elias, or Elias inspired by seeing Matthew. At the end of the book, Grace is going to live with Adrian Bridgestock. I'm glad Adrian came to see Anna and was like, I'm gonna win you back. I'm excited to see that happen. By the end of all this, Tatiana has to die. Tatiana and her fucking fuchsia dress have to go. One nice perk of her becoming an Iron Sister is the death of that dress. I'm excited for this marriage to become real. There's no way they're getting unmarried in a year. I hate that they even said a year. I hate everything that James is saying. Like, he's saying all these nice things, but with the wrong motivations to Cordelia. And he keeps thinking to himself, when I think of being married to Cordelia, it feels great. And I'm like, then why are you making this a sham marriage? This is so random, but I love this hilarious Christopher throwaway line on page 137, where they're trying to shock James into the shadow realm. And Matthew just goes, the last time I saw you shocked was when that Ilbis demon was sending Christopher love letters. And Christopher goes, I have a dark charm. It's so funny to think that Christopher was being written love letters by a random demon. Like, what is this side story and can I read it? And I love that Christopher is sad, but he's come to terms with it. At the end of this book, Cordelia's like, you don't love me, James. And he's like, no, I don't. Oh, so annoying, James. Then she herself is like, he doesn't love me and that will never change. Why do you think that would never change? He's not a robot. And then, of course, that brings us back to Herondale's only love once. Grace is like, that's just a story, James, while she was breaking up with him. And he's like, haven't you heard? All the stories are true. I thought that was a genius turnaround of a phrase. It reminded me of Dumbledore. I do pride myself on my ability to turn a phrase. You would think that if you're in a situation where you are secretly in love with the person that you're fake marrying, that the rom-com plotline of that person falling in love with you accidentally because they're living with you in such close quarters all the time, of them falling in love with you anyway, and that being a real marriage would cross your mind. But it just doesn't. She doesn't even think that. It's like, hello, Cordelia, have you ever read a rom-com, or do you only read epic hero stories? There's one point where Lucy's like, I guess life isn't like a storybook. And it's when they're getting married and it's a sham, but everybody thinks it's real. The most storybook plotline ever. But she's like, I guess life doesn't always have happy endings like a story. You just haven't gotten to the end yet, Lucy. It's happening. Just give it a sec. You're about to marry and have kids with a ghost, okay? Talk about a story. As soon as Jesse came into the picture and we realized he was a ghost, I was like, is she gonna have sex with a ghost or am I insane? She's gonna have sex with a dead person. and they're gonna produce the Blackthorn line. The extended Blackthorn family tree. Oh, I hope we get the extended Blackthorn family tree. Please, please give it to me. I need it. Why isn't anyone suspicious of this witch child? She is weird and creepy, and she lives in a haunted house with demons and a dead boy. They just have a dead person in their backyard that they built a wall around with no roof. Just a wall that Lucy climbs and looks down in. She's like, whoop. There's a dead guy, and there's Grace talking to him. And those are all my thoughts. Please share your thoughts, your theories, your thoughts on my thoughts. My name's Christine. I have book talks for every single one of Cassandra Clare's books. If you haven't seen them yet and you'd like to, I have links in the description. Let's talk about them all. If you'd like, you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at XTINEMAY. I make videos every week, and I will see you next time. Goodbye!